when I got to 15, I thought I'm going to have a child.
Check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it.
Hey, Greg and a CE, call me hip hop junkie, straight to your dome piece like grass.
Welcome to Mel'S Truthful Tuesday. I'm so glad to be here once again. And today, I've come again to do a lovely show. And guess what? I've got an amazing woman that's coming to do an interview with me. And, you know, I'm just so glad, like, we've gone into the new year, you know, and we're going to learn a lot about these untold stories that we don't actually like to talk about. And I've got a beautiful woman to come and speak about her life story that maybe she shared at some point, but you know, we're gonna go in and delve in and get some more juicy stuff. So we just want to welcome our lovely Tanya Hughes, OBE. I'm not forgetting her, OBE Tanya Hughes. Welcome, Tanya. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for, you know, saying yes and coming to share your story. You know, a lot of times people don't like to share their stories. A lot of time people shy away and think, oh, I don't really want to talk about that. There's no need for it. Why should we talk about stuff like this, you know? But I just believe that what we've gone through in our life journey is to help someone. And, you know, your stories, you've not just got one, but you've got stories, is so impactful for the young women that are still hidden and got their mask on, don't want to share that story with people, but people like yourself, you know, who's been recognised in the community, that has been recognised to be doing some impactful stuff. I'm just so honoured that you're here with me today. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. So tell me, Tanya, tell me a little bit about, you know, your journey, your stories. Like, tell me a little bit about your journey growing up. Tell me a little bit about a journey growing up.
Okay, so I grew up in a council estate.
Okay.
In Hackney. I was in a single parent home. Mm-hmm. At the time, I thought my childhood was amazing because everybody's life was like mine. We had a great community. We was in and out of the neighbours' houses, and everybody kind of was friends, and you know. So it was all that I knew, right? It's kind of, when I look back, I think, oh, you know, the things that was going on in that estate, actually, you know, a lot of it was not appropriate. But, you know, when it's all you know, that, you know, for me, it felt like a fun time. And I was a bit of a tomboy.
Okay.
I didn't really have much contact with my dad, which I think had an impact on me. I know had an impact on me in my childhood, particularly in my teenage years.
Okay.
Which I'll probably go into.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of was my start in life. I've got a brother and a sister, and most people around me were in single parent homes as well. There's only one friend, I think, whose kind of dad was around. Yeah. So for me, that was just like completely the norm.
Right.
I wasn't anywhere near a church. I didn't know any Christians. I didn't grow up understanding any of it. I was just kind of told that people who had a faith were bonkers, basically. They were just laughed at by people in my family.
Wow. Okay. So in terms of, like, obviously growing up in a single parent, and this is something that everyone, was there, as you grew up, did you think, gosh, this wasn't what it was supposed to be? Or
no,
you still felt okay that it was okay?
Because again, it wasn't a so when I speak to some friends now, and I hear about other people's childhoods, you know, growing up where, I don't know, their parents bought their homes, or I didn't know anybody that owned a property. I didn't know anybody, as I say, that even if their parents were together, they were not married. So that kind of reality was not a reality to me.
Yeah.
That was like a parallel kind of universe that was not applicable. And I didn't see it as a problem because I didn't know any different. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you got into your teens, because you said that, in your teens, what happened in your teens? What happened then?
So I always felt different.
Okay.
So being mixed heritage, actually, again, where I grew up was not a problem because most people were mixed.
Yeah.
And so but I am kind of one of the oldest mixed race people that I know. And
Okay.
so stepping out of my space, it was really unusual. It's like, where do I fit? I had some people in my mum's side of the family who were blatantly racist.
Really?
And so that was odd. And then but most of my friends were black, but they may let me know that actually you're not quite black enough. You're not, you're not quite one of us. So there was this thing of where do I fit?
Right.
And I think that not having my dad around, and I think God's intention has always been that there should be two parents, right?
Yeah.
And I think not having that, I looked for love in the wrong places as a teenager. Became promiscuous as a teenager. I just didn't feel complete at all. Was looking for attention, but when the attention came, I felt like a piece of meat, and I hated that. The attention I'd get from men made me feel quite uncomfortable. But it was this kind of vicious cycle that I was in.
Yeah.
So that definitely impacted me. And then when I got to 15, I thought I'm going to have a child.
Wow.
I didn't have a child at 15, but I remember having the conversation with my mum and saying, like, I just wanted something of my own. So my siblings have got a different dad to me. So again, I felt kind of odd because my dad wasn't around. And I lived between my mum's and my grandmother's house. But I just wanted something of my own.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a child at 15, but I did at 18. And actually, I think that she was the first thing that kind of put me in a space where it saved my life, apart from when I became a Christian.
Yeah.
That kind of saved my life because I was quite wild, and I don't know where I would have ended up, to be honest.
Wow.
If because then my focus was all about her. She gave me purpose. She gave me something to strive for, and I was determined then not to be this kind of stereotypical. As I won't even say what we were called back then. And I looked a lot younger than what I was as well. But having a baby
still look
young.
lovely and young.
Oh, thank you. So having a child young, I didn't want to. I just didn't want to be that stereotypical. Just the same way, like with men, I didn't want to be the kind of trophy. I didn't want to be that. As I had the thought I used to have in my head is that kind of that piece of meat and being seen as that. I just didn't want to be put into a box.
Yes.
And so I worked really hard when I had it. I mean, I did random jobs, like really random jobs.
Is that after you had your baby?
After I had her,
Okay.
yeah. So, and again, like I was with her dad for a couple of years, but I was so broken. I was so broken that even though he didn't mistreat me, I couldn't receive.
Wow.
I couldn't. I didn't know how to. I didn't know what good looked like. And so I got to the point where I just thought, he's going to wake up one day and realise that I'm just a big fraud. So before he does this,
You're going to go.
I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And,
That's sabotage, isn't
he
it?
is my family and he'll always be my family. And we were, but I left. And
But can I just interject? Is that going back to when we talked about, looking for love in the wrong places? Is that going back to not having your father present, why you feel how you felt and not knowing your value when it comes to meeting that particular guy and having a baby and stuff?
so I think when I've kind of analysed it, and I've done lots of kind of talks, I do try to share my story
Yeah.
from different angles to try to help women who feel they're in a place where they have no hope.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that what I understood, or what my comfort zone was brokenness. That's what I knew. So when I was in a place where it wasn't broken, I didn't recognize it. It wasn't a comfortable place for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the tools or any kind of mentors or anybody who was speaking into my life to help guide me through that.
Yeah.
And so I was in a space that I didn't recognize. I didn't feel comfortable with it. I didn't know what to do with it. I knew how to navigate pain. I know how to navigate chaos. I know how to, that's comfortable for me. I knew what to do in those spaces. But in this, I didn't. And so I ran from it. So I wouldn't necessarily put it down to my dad not being around, but I think that probably that was part of it. I just think it came from a place of being broken. And then I was on my own for a while. And I moved back to my mom's. And then I met my son's dad, and he was just kind of the total opposite. And I thought, I know this space. This is a comfort space for me. And not to kind of put all of the blame on him, but it was a really difficult relationship. It was really difficult. And again, kind of in retrospect and understanding myself more, and also understanding why when I look at young women who make decisions that they make from a place of brokenness, you know, God's intention always is that two halves make a whole, right? But if you're broken and they're broken, then you're just making a whole heap of mess.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. And we were together for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
But that was a very destructive, broke me down, really broke me down. But in the midst of all of that, I always thought that I was supposed to do something while I was here. Like, and I'm sure everybody does to some extent, right? Thinks, there's more. Like, I'm actually supposed to do something. And I'd say, I used to fantasize in my head, like, am I supposed to be like an actress, or am I supposed to be like, because I've got this comedic way about me.
Yeah.
That I was like, what is it? But I didn't know. I didn't know. And I had, in my 20s, I had no peace. No peace. I was, I was not in a good place at all.
Wow.
And I remember I used to have panic attacks, and my doctor put me in a place for Black people with mental health crisis. So I was like, okay, she's putting me away. When I went there, I was like, but I think what she was doing was giving me respite and trying to shake me, to wake me up to the reality of my situation. But again, because I hadn't seen anything else apart from what I was in, to me, this is what you do. This is how you roll. This is what you... And, oh God, yeah, that was, just thinking about it now, just think, wow. But in the midst of all of that, I became a Christian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was really, I looked at faith because I was searching because I knew that there was no way that I could live with that level of anxiety and lack of peace. I had no peace. I didn't know how to articulate that at the time, but there was a lack of it. And I looked into Judaism. My grandmother was Jewish on my mother's side, so I thought, well, I'm Jewish, so maybe I need to look into that. It didn't fully make sense to me. And then I looked into Buddhism. I used to chant, and I just think, I feel really stupid doing this, but I gave it a go. I looked into Islam. I just thought, again, it didn't quite sit with me. And then I left it. I didn't look into anything for a few years. And a neighbour of mine became a Christian kind of on accident. And she invited me round to her house. Yeah, and we didn't get on at all. And I went to her house, and this woman started telling me about Jesus, and I was like, something just hit my stomach. That I was like, there's something in this. Anyway, I actually gave my life in that living room, so I still hadn't stepped foot in a church. Well, I hadn't been to church, didn't understand any of it, had no concept. And this woman tried her best, bless her, to disciple me, and I was a nightmare to disciple. Really hard work. It was hard work. She'd tell me to pray. I'd tell her no. She'd tell me she would. I was very rebellious, and but anyway, what was a kind of a turning point for me was that it was Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, and that made me know that I wasn't a mistake. So all my life I thought there's something not right, you know. But to read that there was a plan and there was a purpose for my life, and that was one of hope, and not to harm me.
Yes.
I grabbed onto it.
Wow.
I grabbed onto that word, and that remains my kind of favourite scripture.
Yeah.
And from there, things just started to change. Not like overnight, right? It was a slow burn, and I've always been in a place where I think, and this is not against the church, but the church will go, right, you've got to stop doing that now. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I literally, my walk was me and God. And then I feel a thing going, well, now you need to knock that on the head. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Now that needs to stop.
I hear
working.
that.
Yeah.
I've gone through that process where people said, when I first got saved, I used to have a gold tooth. They said, oh, how you're a Christian, you've got gold tooth. That's what they said to me at the time.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. And they, like, with my nails, they were like, oh, you look like a Jezebel because you've got long nails. So I went through the process of, I want God to make that, you know, to give me that conviction then. And if he gives me that conviction, then
You'll shift it.
so I know I understand the process that you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, mine was a bit worse than a gold tooth and
Oh,
nails.
really?
Yeah. And it was when I surrendered, and I kept messing up. I kept getting wrong. And I remember, and I still lived with my partner. And then I thought, we'll get married. That's what we'll do. Planned a wedding.
Really?
And then God sent 3 people to tell me that's not your husband.
Wow.
And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? But I think if 2 years prior, I was told that that's what would happen,
Yeah.
I would have just walked away from it.
Yeah.
But actually, by this point, my trust and hope was in God in such a way that I thought me and this guy's lives were going in completely different directions. And actually, what would my life be like having to, because I found my walk hard enough as it was, let alone carrying somebody who had a completely different view of the world. So it took a couple of years, and then I got to the point where I planned the wedding, and God said no. So I told him that, we're gonna separate, and we did, yeah. And then I was homeless for a bit, and and then I just started to work in. I was working in probation at the time. I was hearing all these stories, and there was me. I'd left school at 15. I had no qualifications, and I was listening to these people's stories. And I was thinking, I really want to work with these people, because I could see that some of the people that were working with them really didn't care. So, very long story short, I applied to be a probation officer. Well, a unqualified probation officer initially, and I didn't even get through the interviews. So if that can give somebody hope, I'm like, yeah. They said, okay, we'll put you on the reserve list.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But a few months later, then they took me on, and I worked in Holloway Prison. I worked in the courts, and I really loved my job. I really loved the fact that I believe that I'm vocational. Like whatever I do, there's a purpose to it, and it impacts lives.
Yeah.
So I did that for a few years, and then I thought, I'm going to do the degree. This is somebody who has never sat an exam in her life because I left school. So this was in my early 30s. I applied for the course, and I remember writing. We had to do a book review.
Yeah.
And I gave it to a friend who was a probation officer to read. She threw it across the room. It had no grammar in it. I had no full stops in it. No grammar at all. Because what I didn't know is that I'm dyslexic, but I didn't know it.
At the time.
I've just kind of blagged my way through. Yeah. But anyway, I got on a course, kind of read a little bit about grammar and where I'm supposed to put a full stop, where I'm supposed to put a comma.
Yeah.
And then I did the degree and I became a probation officer.
Oh, wow.
And I did that for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just have this thing of why not? Like if I see a role, if I see a job that I feel in my gut that is something that I want to do, I just think, why not apply for it? Like
Wow.
I look at, and I think that's what made me go for the probation officer role, because I looked at others doing the job and I thought I could do that. Actually, I think I could do it better than them. I think one of the superpowers of being dyslexic is that I can multitask and I can, and I work at quite a quick pace. So that was to my advantage. But what was happening is because I was working in a way that was not better than other people, but the work I did was being noticed by people.
Yeah.
I would have very senior people say, "I'd like you to come and work on my project."
Wow.
Do you come and work? So in a relatively short space of time, so I say that I went from being a receptionist to was a receptionist maybe in 2009 to a deputy director in whenever it was 2020. I think 2021.
So where did that kind of drive come from? You know, like
Never. I'm not driven.
really?
No, I'm not ambitious, which is a really odd thing to say.
It is.
I'm not. I just know
Because
that.
you know, you said before. Sorry to cut you.
Yeah,
I
that's
know you
fine.
said before that there was something about you that you wasn't quite sure, but you knew you was somebody and you was going to become something.
Yeah.
But you know, in terms of that, like, how did you get to that place of that?
Of not allowing the labels.
Not allowing the labels to be
Box me in.
box you in.
Yeah. I think it's that self-belief. Even though the spaces that I was going into, I didn't fit.
Really?
I didn't fit those spaces at all. I was very different from that because the more senior you go, it shifts. People have got very different backgrounds to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought it was important that I shared my background just as context. That
Yeah.
I think that just because we find ourselves in a position, that should never determine your destination.
Yeah.
There's a plan and purpose for my life.
Yeah.
So as long as I align myself to the will of God,
Yeah.
in my mind, then there is no one or nothing that's going to stop me from going wherever God will will me to be.
Yeah.
I do think my life is extreme. And so not everybody's life is going to follow the same path. Well, we wouldn't anyway, right? Because we are unique. But I think that it's an example to say to people that step out the boat.
Yeah.
Like if you've got an opportunity, what my thing always is all they're going to do, the worst that's going to happen is they're going to say no.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so true.
You apply for something, you don't, and what's happened is that the path that I really believe that has been set before me, as I step into those spaces, the doors have opened very easily. And in instances, I've had people really encourage me. So when I was quite junior, I had people saying to me, "You're going to be a director." I could not see that. There was no evidence of that in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I saw myself as, I suppose, being inferior to everybody around me. People talk about imposter syndrome and all of that lovely stuff. And that still sits with me now. But my mindset is that there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Is it as vocational as my previous roles were? No. But what I do now is I'm involved in quite a few charities. I helped found one charity that helps women that have been trafficked into prostitution. I was sitting on Prison Radio board. I've just stepped down from that, and also I don't keep myself in spaces if I don't think I'm making an impact. So Prison Radio, they're in, I think there's 117 prisons. They're in most prisons.
Yeah.
I was on their board of trustees, but it got to the point where I felt that no, I'm not actually having an impact here. So I'm not going to do something just for it to be on my CV. I'm not going to do something just so that I can put it on LinkedIn to say that I'm on a board.
Yeah.
No, if I don't know or sense the impact that I'm having, then it's time to move on. I started a non-profit that helps women, girls. It's called Girls to School, and helps girls with reusable sanitary products, because there's a thing in me that is solution focused. If I see a problem, it's like, okay, so what can we do? Or what can I do? You know, and that started with me just doing a GoFundMe, taking my son to Kenya and just going to the slums and going, right. I knew I had a contact in the slums, and we just ran workshops with a couple of hundred girls in the slums, and was able to provide them with reusable sanitary products. So when I say I'm not ambitious, I am driven.
Yeah.
But that's because I just think there's people that need help.
Yeah.
So where is it, Lord, that you will have me be? What is it that you'll have me do? And what I'm doing, how can it impact on those people's lives?
Yeah.
However small that might be, or however big that might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was so profound is that you said that you never felt like you fit in, and you're still saying that. That's how, not say so much, but even in your role now, you might not fit into that role, but you are on top of everyone else. Tell me a little bit about why you've never felt. I know that you talked about it as being a child and you had more black friends, and you know, so it's always been like that.
Yeah.
Throughout, but you're still striving, you're still thriving, you're still becoming, you're still getting, you know. Tell me a little bit about why, you know, about feeling a bit not boxed in, more not fitting in.
I think that was a training ground for me. I think when I think about my childhood and my, you know, before, even during my 20s, I think because the places that God would have me be, I was going to be different. And in some ways, it's about if what you're doing is groundbreaking and paving a way for other people, there are not going to be people that look like you, sound like you, are like you. So you're going to be different. So then you're going to feel different. I think as I've got older, I'm less bothered by it.
Yeah.
Because it's irrelevant. And I can be quite blunt about that, and quite direct about that. Like, it's irrelevant if I don't fit, because that's not my world. It's where I'm meant to be. But your job isn't your life. Your job isn't your identity. Your job is, for me, it's not a ministry, but actually there is something there that I'm supposed to do. Or there's something there that I need to learn.
Yeah.
There's a purpose to it. So that's where my focus is now, that's a purpose, and I will be the best that I can be, learn what I need to learn, support, and you know, and what it has done is, particularly in my field, I mentor quite a lot of younger women from feel like they are from underrepresented groups. So I am in my world. I'm from a lower socioeconomic background. I'm dyslexic, so I have a disability. I'm over 50. In my space is actually quite unusual as well, because everybody's so young. And I'm mixed. So that is very different from most people around me. So I think the way that, it's just only now reflecting on it, in that I think that's how God intended, that I would be trained so now it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
I wasn't just thrown into spaces where I don't fit.
Yeah.
I've always been in that space.
Yeah. And we're just looking, obviously the show is No More. You're more than a label.
Without a doubt.
You just come back to me. You're more than a label. And you talked about all those different labels that How did those labels feel for you? Like all the different ones that you've just spoken about, being a teenager mom, you know, dropping out of school, having dyslexia, you know, how did that feel, or how does that still feel? Or is that, you know?
I was never defined by them.
Okay.
No, I was never ever defined by them. And it's only when I went into other scenarios, like you saying, so what was that like growing up in a single parent home? I wasn't defined by it because I knew nothing else.
Yeah.
I never, you know, and I can see when other people are uncomfortable when I share some of my labels. They're like, oh, and I'm like, it's they are more bothered by it than I am, because I'm not defined by them.
Yeah.
I you know, there is no way that I've had such a squiggly career, because it's not been kind of
Straightforward.
It's not been straightforward, and it's been very different. Like I've been a commercial, I've managed a £1 billion contract. I've been head of, you know, I was head of diversity and inclusion for all the prisons in England and Wales. Like very, very different and varied stuff. And now I'm a deputy director of HR. Very different from anything else that I've done. I suppose it's that. I was thinking about this the other day, and there is a scripture that talks about resting in God. And I think that sometimes we think that rest is being still, but it talks about his yoke is easy. And actually, if you are yoked to him, then you just are guided, right? So if, you know, an oxen's got, the yoke has got two, and so if you're one and God's the other, and you're yoked together and you're walking, well, then actually I'm being guided by him.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a fear about the next phase. My fear is that I become detached from him. As I say, in my life, I've stepped out of the boat. People have gone, oh, you're applying for that job. Oh, it's very adventurous of you. I just thought, well, from what it describes, I think I can do it. Why not? Worst they can say is no. And actually, God has firmly closed doors when I've gone off on my own ego. I can do this, prideful, you don't know who I am type thing, and apply for roles that actually I've got no business applying for. And God will firmly close those doors, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. So actually, I feel like a bit of a fraud, because I feel like I abdicate responsibility to God.
Which is good, because I feel like even though that confidence of just going into a room and being able to just say, like, my biggest fear is interviews. I know I'm doing an interview now, but I mean, when I go into an actual interview for a job, I'm all blah, 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 blah. It's like I ain't got a clue what I'm talking about. And then I'm like, why do I do that? Why does that every time I go to an interview, I'm not feeling like, and it goes back to what you said, they can only say no, Mel. Do you know what I mean? But why are you not trying? Like, I find that if I go for something that I'm passionate about, I sell through that interview, and everyone's like, oh, you can see the passion. I go for something where I just want to do a job. It just sounds like you're all over the place.
Maybe you weren't meant to do that then.
Yeah, just like what you said. That's what kind of brought back to me. Maybe God is saying that door's closed for you. That's not what you're meant to be doing.
Exactly.
Just leave that.
Yeah.
And keep it moving.
Yeah.
But sometimes we just get that rejection feeling, like, but why wasn't we chosen? Why didn't we get it? You know. And sometimes God's just, you know, protecting you, as they say in it. Rejection is that protection.
Exactly. I am a firm believer. I mean, we have to try our best, right? Like, I don't just like sail through life and go, oh, well, God's got me. Like, I have to work hard. I know I have to work harder than my peers. I know that for me to be able to even be heard in a space, I have to work harder than my peers because of how I sound and because of how I look in comparison to my peers. But I've always done that, and that's been my training ground. And so I'll say it's okay, but it is okay. And if I'm going for an interview, I will prep really hard. I will get people to look at my applications. I will do mock interviews and get people to, put myself through all sorts of shame and embarrassment. But I'll do that because I want to be as prepared as I can be for that space. But I also say, if this isn't for me, close this door.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to step into a space, I've wasted years in going off in my own kind of, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's the kind of going around the mountain, right? Like a 11-day journey can take you 40 years because you're going off in your own understanding.
Yeah.
I'm at the place where, if it's not you, just close the door.
Close the door. So tell me a little bit about you being recognised and having an OBE. Tell me, how did that journey start, and, how did it feel for you as well?
That's really interesting. So when did I get it? 2018, I think. That letter came, and I don't know if it was from Downing Street. I think it was from Downing Street. And I saw the stamp on the envelope, and I was like, what's this about? I opened it, and I was in my house by myself, and the feeling, I cannot describe it. Like, it was, I don't know. I felt every emotion. I laughed, I cried, I was shaking. It's like every emotion just came over me. It was, I've never felt like it before or since. And what did I get it for? I got my OBE for the work I do for charity.
Okay.
So I started charity work maybe 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
From going out and feeding the homeless on the streets to founding charities. And then I also got it. I led on David Lammy did a review of the criminal justice system and was looking at disparity in outcomes for Black staff, and I say those in our care. I don't work in prison probation anymore, but people in prison and on probation. So looking at disparity in outcomes for Black people.
Yeah.
And so I led on the prison and probation response to the David Lammy review, which was really interesting. I was the program director for that. And so I was really shocked when I got it. I didn't know who had nominated me.
Wow.
I always thought I'd get an MBE though. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I thought I'd get an MBE.
Wow.
And that sounds really kind of boast-delicious. But I did. When I saw an OBE,
Yeah.
I was like, God, you're something else. And then I went for a thing of, I don't think I want it.
Really?
Yeah. It's Officer of the British Empire. That's what the OBE stands for. And I was like, that doesn't sit comfortable with me. And I had this whole bout with God about it. Like, I'm going to wear a medal from the colonizer. Do you know what I mean? To say, I'm an officer of that British Empire. Oh, it just didn't sit right with me at all. And then I spoke to a few people and I prayed about it. And then I really felt that God was saying that it will open doors for you. And I think part of it was also God showing me who I am. Like, you can't see it. You're not believing it. But this is who you are. Like, hello. Cooey.
Wake up.
Yeah. So I accepted it. And going to Buckingham Palace, it was amazing.
Oh, wow.
And my children came with me. And I remember I drove my car in. And I thought, I'm going to definitely park in there because they give you things so you can park in the grounds. And I hadn't cleaned my car. Like, it was a mess. And my son was so embarrassed. It's like, Mom, because they come and they search under your car to make sure you're not taking anything in there. That was interesting. But it was a lovely day. It was really lovely. And and the whole kind of process. And I am grateful because when I look, I just think, that was definitely God. That was definitely God. And people were surprised because they weren't aware. I mean, they'd see me on social media in various guises, but not knowing that that's a lot of the stuff that I do kind of behind the scenes. And the support that I've provided for women for many years. So, yeah.
Wow. Amazing. But just going back in terms of when you said that you didn't really think because a lot of it that I'm hearing, it's always been, I'm not sure if it's for me. I'm not sure if I should have. And, you know, I just want to kind of delve into why you feel like you're that, you know, because we're talking about, you know, you're more than a label. So that means you're more than these labels that people have put on you, or even if you didn't matter to you, people still label us, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to delve into why you're not feeling like this title, because it's titles now that we're talking about, even though they are labels. Now we're talking about the titles. Why wouldn't you own those titles that you've worked for, that you've gone through the hardship, you've gone through the bad days, the good days, the crying days to achieve all of what you've achieved. So what's made you feel like, I know spiritually what you meant, but on the other kind of spectrum, like what is it that made you
really, for the OBE, I was really, well, one of it is as well, like, there's a bit of being in no man's land in that I am not part of the space that I find myself in, but I'm not in the same space where I came from. And what I didn't want is to be, because it felt like I was boasting. Do you know what I mean? Like, so like last year I got an award at Windsor Castle. I didn't even put it on social media. Like, I can't remember her name. Prince Edward's wife, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh or something, I think her name is. Wow. I got an award from her for being a woman of distinction, a Christian leader. I didn't even. I've not posted that anywhere.
So what makes you feel like you don't want to do? I know that there's two aspects to it. Like, you know, does people can think I'm showing off, or who do you think you are, or what is it that's kind of giving you that? Or is it? It's not needed. What is it that's kind of going on?
I think it's a bit of both. I think that I remember my daughter saying to me, I was on TV and I said, "Oh, are you guys going to watch it?" They were like, "Yeah." And I think it's, and I can't remember if it was my daughter or my son said, "Yeah, it's bad. Like, we don't really celebrate your achievements because you're always achieving." And so maybe part of it is I'd always be going, "Oh, I've done this. Oh, I've done that." You know,
that's a good thing. And the reason why I say that, I know, like, obviously this show is to help other people realize that if you've gone through past traumas, you've gone through life experiences that hasn't been nice. You know, you was a teenager mum. Yeah. Come on, that's something that I went through the same thing as being a teenager, and then going back to do my bachelor's and my degree and my master's. I went through that stage as well. But sometimes I know I kind of relate to you not sharing all of this, because it almost feels like, who do you think you are? But it's not that we're trying to say that, well, me personally, I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anyone. I'm trying to say that you can go through all that life. So I dropped out of school as well. So similar to your story, you know, dropped out of school, had 3 kids by the time I was 23. So I was quite like labeled already that, who are you? Where are you going?
Or you're not going.
Yeah. And then, you know, even doing my show, like, as you said about your children, like my children are quite supportive. But then I was showing it to my wider family. It was like, when they were looking at it, because I put it up on the TV recently, and everyone was like, oh, you look, this looks really good. And I was like, oh, but it felt like having to share the stories of other people, like, Mel, is that what you're doing? Or, you know, is that for you? And because they really know who you are behind the scenes, don't they? Yeah. And it's like showing this, it's like kind of an embarrassment, but an achievement. It's not, and when I say embarrassment, I mean like, they're looking at you go, oh, I know what you're like at home. You're joking, you're laughing, but you're doing this serious thing on TV, you know, on YouTube. And it's like so different to what you are at home. So it's almost like I don't go around to my family and say, can you like my page? Or can you know, I don't do none of those stuff. But really and truly, they are meant to be your supporters. Yeah. But we don't do it for that reason, you know?
And maybe that's something to think about. But yeah, and what also, I just felt like it meant that other people couldn't share what was going on with them because it just wasn't as big. Do you know what I mean? So I just kind of maybe dampen it down a little bit, potentially. But I don't completely hide myself under a bushel. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like, you know, I did my MBA and masters when I turned 50, and knowing that, and that's when I was assessed and found out that, got my diagnosis that I'm dyslexic.
Wow.
And actually the guy that did the professor that did my assessment, he said, I don't know how you've been as successful as you are, because your brain is wired so differently. But actually, again, I do think it's my superpower. But it has been something that, because I communicate differently to my peers, or I process information very differently to them, that there's that part of not fitting, because I'm like, I'm not being heard. You're not hearing me because I'm not communicating in the same way that you are.
Right, I hear you.
Or we could discuss a problem and I will see a solution straight away. And I would have such frustration with people. It's like, why are you not getting it? Like this, just straighten the mic. Just, it's quite straightforward. And then 6 months down the line, they go, oh yeah, we need to straighten the mic. And I wouldn't get credit for what I'd initially, or wasn't heard.
Yeah.
But I think I'm now in a place where that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to get my affirmation there, that's okay. All I need to know is that I'm in the right place at the right time. Anything outside of that is kind of irrelevant. And doing my MBA, I really enjoyed it, even though studying is not a natural thing for me. And when I got a distinction, I shared that on social media. I was like, yeah, I did a master's, I got a distinction in it.
Yeah.
I shared that. So there are things that I do share, and there are things that the family will celebrate me. If I'm up for an award or something, my children will come along to that. But I do think we're all a bit blasé about it.
Not making it known properly, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I just feel like, because you're an inspiration, come on, you're a great inspiration. And I feel like women that are like gone through things that we may have gone through in our past, to say, look, you can go, you could be awarded an OBE, you could be in, do you know what I mean? Like, but you not sharing it, it's almost like God's giving you that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, share it with others, because it's like, what's the word? I'm kind of like, not giving God, because God gave it to you. Even though
He did.
it's
I just think there's also wisdom in it as well. Because I think that my life is so extreme. So I've not even shared half the extremes. But it's so extreme in that what I don't want people to think of, like, well, that's okay for you. That was not, I'm not going to get an OB, or I'm not going to, my thing is that if I can give people, particularly women, hope to see beyond their circumstance. Yeah. So your circumstance is, I don't know, you're in, I don't know, temporary accommodation, a victim of domestic violence. You've got no qualifications, no hope for a job, no hope for anything. And I've had at least one or all of those labels at periods in my life. If you are able to break down that thing and see just beyond that little room you're in, I never ever thought that I would own my own home. I never thought that I would, because again, I didn't know anybody that owned property. That was not on the cards. That wasn't. But I bought my first place in my 20s, even in the midst of the hell. It is doable. And I also think that age is, some people say, well, that was okay, your life started to shift in your 30s. It can happen at any time. Yeah. When I see young people getting really stressed over their GCSEs and or their A levels and thinking, oh, my life's over. No, it's not. It really, really isn't. My career started in my 30s. Before that, I mean, I was just doing random jobs, and there's nothing wrong in that. But if I can, so I suppose it depends on the audience. It depends on where I'm sharing. Yeah, I do kind of ask for wisdom what I'm sharing. But what I don't want to do is set this diamond plated standard that people think it's okay for her. I could never attain that.
Yeah.
What the hope is for me is that people would just think there's more than what I can see. You know, like faith is the things hoped for, not the things that we can see.
Yeah.
So I've never written a vision down, and I know that people do that, and but that's not been my thing, because I could never believe that.
Right.
So when I was a receptionist in the probation office, if you would have said to me, "What's your vision? What you're going to write down?" It would have been to be office manager of that building.
Right, I hear you.
But what happened is that I then became that the contract I managed was actually London probation contract. So at some point they were accountable to me because I was managing the contract and signing off their payments. So I went. That wouldn't even have come anywhere near my mind. Wow. That was when they privatised probation. They've brought it back in now, but when it was privatised, I managed that contract for London. So from a little office in a dot in a London borough to then, you know, kind of overseeing how it was being managed across the whole of London. I would never have known that, to see that. But if you know that the situation you find yourself in is not where you believe that you are going to stay, then as opportunities come up, you step into them. You just step into them. And, you know, sometimes you'll feel stagnant. Sometimes you'll think this makes no sense. But if it was down to our small minds to work that out, then you'd be office manager of the building.
Yeah.
And so I don't, where do I go next? I don't know. What's my next job? I don't know.
Do you want to change out of your role?
I will change out of my role. But, you know, currently I'm doing, even though I'm in HR, I'm doing transformation. I'm looking at AI. I'm learning about how innovation, transformation and all of that, is that going to be my next space? I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I never, ever would have said I would have been in HR. Ever. Never. But this is where I find myself, and where I go next, I don't know. There isn't a plan. The plan is to continue to grow and continue to learn, and not to be stagnant. When you're stagnant, you get a bit stinky.
Yeah.
And miserable.
I know.
And you have people that are just stuck and moan about everyone else evolving around them. And that, you know, as I say, it's not a overnight thing, you know. So when some of the things I look back, it's taken me years to kind of take that the next step. But there's a gut thing I get, and I go, yeah, I'm meant to apply for that, or I'm meant to do that. And I do it. I step out. Just think, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And just, obviously you've gone through different life experiences. What would you tell your younger self, if there's any changes that you would make in your younger self, or are you okay what you went through, or, you know, what would you tell that younger self?
I think what I went through was I had to go through. What I would do is just, if she could be a bit more, so I'm in a space now where I say I don't care. And that isn't that I don't care. I care passionately, but I don't care when it's, the noise doesn't affect me. The noise from people doesn't affect me in a way that it did when I was younger. So I think I would be saying to myself, you're okay. And just don't take that on. Just don't take on the views of others. I so wanted to fit. And I suppose I would say to myself, you were made to stand out.
Amen. That sounds amazing. And just to encourage someone who's watching, a young person, a young lady, just to encourage someone about being more than a label.
What would I say to you? I would say don't allow yourself to be defined by what other people would pigeonhole you as. Life life situations, life circumstances, yes, they can put labels on you, but they don't define you. Don't allow them to keep you in a box. Know what your passion is. What are you passionate about? What gives you a gut feeling? What is it that you want to do? What burdens you? My charities came out of a place of burden. I had a heart for broken people. And so I went and volunteered. Just do some stuff outside of the box. And then when opportunities come, go for it. As I've said before, the worst thing that can happen is they say no. And if it's not for you, the door will not open. And so I'll just encourage you just to we get one life, we get one shot at this. And you just put one foot in front of the other and don't allow anybody to tell you that you can't do something. That's what I'd say.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Tanya. I love this interview. I loved it because, just the confidence, being able to get from somewhere where it seemed like there was no hope, and now there's so much hope. And, I love the fact that you haven't ended. It's still, you've got much more to go. And, we talked about age. A lot of women, they're like, oh, I'm at a certain age now, so I can't do certain things. And, you're the evidence that there's so much more.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for sharing
Thank you
your
for having
story.
me.
And thank you for coming.
It's been good.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me.
Oh,
Take
thank
care.
you. Thank you. Well, that was Mel's Truthful Tuesday. We just thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. But like, share, subscribe to my channel. And I will see you all again shortly for another exclusive interview. Take care. Bye.
Check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out.